Welcome to the Passion Vista Podcast, the platform where we celebrate extraordinary individuals who lead with heart, create with vision, and transform the world through their passion. I'm your host Neetu Marwaha, and today's episode is especially meaningful for us as we celebrate our 50th podcast milestone, a journey of powerful conversations, inspiring voices, and stories that continue to impact lives across the globe. And it's only fitting that this milestone features a leader whose work reflects exactly what Passion Vista stands for. We are joined by Dr. Carolyn Rubin, a global voice in transformational leadership, empowerment, and human potential. A leader who reminds us that true leadership is not defined by titles or positions, but by who we become in the process. With over 3 decades of experience across healthcare, leadership, and coaching, Dr. Rubin has dedicated her journey to one powerful idea that leadership begins from within, not in the moments of visibility, but in the moments of self awareness, courage, and alignment. In today's conversation, we explore what it truly means to lead from within, how purpose shapes our decisions, how presence defines the way we show up, and why courage is essential in creating a life and leadership that feels aligned and authentic. Today we have joined with Dr. Carolyn Rubin. She's a very dear friend of mine, and I cannot say she's my client anymore. We've been sharing stage together many a times, and she's a wonderful person to be with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Carolyn, for joining us today. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you. Dr. Neetu, is so exciting to be here with you again. To your point, I just love our friendship and the conversations we can have. And to be able to share this with you today is very near and dear to my heart, just to be right here with you. So thank you for having me.
Wonderful. And we have a beautiful news for you that Passion Vista Podcast is completing its 50th episode. And we're so excited and happy that you have joined us in this episode. And this is our second episode together. And what more can I ask for than you in my podcast on my 50th episode?
Congratulations on that. That is such a huge accomplishment to be able to have that. And I'm very honored and very touched that I'm part of your 50th episode. So thank you for that opportunity, because there's nothing better than to be able to just sit here and have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored too, equally. So, Dr. Carolyn, as we begin from the beautiful journey you've been sharing on stage with your clients and with the great purpose that you're working with. So, how purpose shapes our decisions, how presence defines the way we show up, and why courage is essential in creating a life and leadership that feels aligned and authentic. So, what is your opinion on it?
It's so important for us to really have a good understanding of who we are. When we think about leadership, so many times I'll have clients that will ask me, how do I know that I'm a good leader? How do I know that leadership is really for me? And I'm saying, well, let's look deep inside, right? Because leadership starts within us. If we know our values, we know what really helps to shape us. We understand who we are. And really, the key thing is, how do we want people to feel when they're in our presence? If we have a good understanding of that, then we're building that leader within us. And we've done it way before the outside world ever had a chance to see it. So when we're ready, when we know what those values are, it's easier to step into a leadership role. So it's having that courage, though, to just say, what are my values? What do I believe in? And because that's going to give us the clarity to be able to just take the next step and to be able to take the leaders or the teams underneath of us and lead them to a new direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very beautifully and well defined that until you have your inner voice and you go with it, uh, it's very difficult to lead. So, what is your opinion of how can someone recognize when they are leading from pressure or purpose? I think there are two different things, but then they're very important that they differentiate and they understand about the difference in it, and they lead with purpose than pressure.
Yes. Very good question. And there is a difference, but a lot of people don't understand that right at the very beginning. When we lead with pressure, which so many people are doing today, just because of the challenges within their job, maybe they've had layoffs, maybe they're unable to hire more people, so they might be short-staffed. They might be working up against deadlines, and they just know that they have to go meet them regardless. So they're pushing, and they feel the weight of their shoulders. They feel the weight on their shoulders. And so they just, all they want to do is like figure out, how do I get through the day? And then they get home at night and it's like they're just exhausted.
Yes.
When we lead with purpose instead of pressure, we still have some of those same goals that we have to meet, but we have clarity.
Yes.
And when we have the clarity, it allows us to figure out, how do we get where we need to be and not stress our team, not take our team and wear them out or create burnout or stress because of it. So purpose gives us clarity to move forward. Pressure, it just says go do. And we need to just like really take a minute and step back. When we feel those pressures and we just know that we got to get done, it's like, how's the best way to do it to where our team has an opportunity to be successful? I always tell people, set your teams up for success, not for failure. So if you take a moment and just put clarity behind it, regardless of what those pressures are, those goals are, those metrics are, whatever it is that you're trying to meet, you're going to be successful at it and your team's going to appreciate you for it. But it's really just having that clarity to say, hold on a moment.
Wonderful, wonderful. In fact, while I was just discussing with you, I was thinking about this only, that what is the solution, and you answered it so beautifully and so well that clarity is very important while you're leading, because what is going on in our mind, it's important that we clear to the team. I think to this young generation and a lot of entrepreneurs, this is a beautiful message which you are sending, that how to be a good leader and how to communicate to your team so that we together build an amazing team and we work together amazingly.
Right. Yeah. And it's, young entrepreneurs and even young individuals that are joining the workplace, they just know that they need to go work, right? It's like, I just need to go pay off a student loan, or I need to go buy a car, or I need to make a house payment. Today, the pressures are more than they ever have been. And so as I work with individuals and even have conversations with my daughters and my granddaughters, it's the same message. It's like, we have to take one step at a time, and we have to figure how we're going to get from point A to point B. Don't jump to the end.
Yes.
Because if you miss everything in between, then you're just stressing yourself versus just having that clear linear direction of, where do I need to go? And I was talking to one of my young team members not too long ago, and she's like, but I'm looking 5 years down the road. And I said, understood, but I said, you're missing tomorrow. I said, if you're focused on 5 years down the road, you're missing tomorrow and the next day and what might be coming your way. So I said, instead of going this way with your thoughts, build them this way. Build them up, not across. And get a clearer picture, get a clearer understanding of where it is you want to go and what is it that you want to do.
Perfect. Very, very well and perfectly answered. So, what is your opinion that purpose and presence, how do they shape the way we lead others?
When we're leading from purpose, we're leading with a clarity. We're leading with our values. We're leading with an understanding of who we are. When we know who we are and what's our origin story, what helped build us as we were growing up, what are some of the things that we have learned throughout our life? What are the things that we were taught? When we have a really good understanding of our purpose, then we're leading our teams with that very same purpose. And I had a team of, 13, 14 young women about 3 months ago. And we actually talked through this. And they're like, I want to be a better manager. I don't understand why this is always happening. When we break down and we really understand what is our purpose in life, what are our values, what is it that we love to bring to others, we create a very successful team. And they understand what their purpose of life is. They know how to lead better. They know how to interact better. They don't let the pressures get to them as much. There's always pressures. But if we understand what our purpose is, if we understand where it is we want to be, where it is we want to go, then they have a better understanding of how to get there. I have a young team right now that every day they know there's pressures. They're working with surgeons. They're trying to get them set up to where they can see patients, and there's always demands. But they've gotten to the point now where instead of just like getting stressed about it and just rushing through, we take time to step back and ask the questions. So they come in and they ask the questions, and we put a priority list together. We will kind of like dissect what's going on, and we figure out what's the next step that we should take that maybe allows us to accomplish 3 or 4 steps at one time. 6 months ago, they were just scurrying to get things out the door. But then we had errors. We had surgeons that weren't able to see patients. And so it's a matter of how do we remove the pressure? And so we had those conversations. And it's like, what is it that drives you? Because purpose will give us clarity to get where we want to be. And what is it that you know versus what is it that's stressing you? Because if managing a project is stressing one of you, but I have someone else on the team that absolutely loves to run the projects, well, let's flip the roles, right?
Yes.
So it's having that clarity that helps them to just work together seamlessly, and they have become that very seamless team in a very short period of time. We meet, they go do, but they're not afraid to just come in and say, hey, can we ask a quick clarifying question? So they've now understand what their purpose is and how they can make things happen without feeling like they are burning out, or that they go home at night and they are so stressed they call out the next day. So it's really understanding what's important to me. What are my values? What am I learning? And then how do I incorporate that not only into my work, but into my day-to-day life as well? How do I take that purpose and not just realize what my purpose in life is while I'm at work, but how do I make purpose my life?
Amazing, amazing. So well defined, so structured answer, I would really say that. So Dr. Rubin, I have a question that
Okay.
you're working with Gen Zs and millennials, and there's a great age gap which we can see. So how do you cope up with this generation gap? Because we understand that your age people have been working really hard.
Right.
You've been
Yes.
and people today believe in smart work than hard work.
Right.
So how
Yes.
do you manage this gap of hard work and smart work?
I've learned to rely on them to provide the information I don't know. But one of the key things and the best way that you can really get to understand Gen Zs and millennials and really have great conversations and communication with them is to step back and ask the question, what drives you? What is it that you love to do? Because there is that gap. It's like, and I always tell them the story of the very first mobile phone that I ever had. so I'm going to really age myself now. But it was what we called a bag phone, and it was the same as a regular telephone in your house, and I had it mounted in my car. And so you literally are pulling up a handset in order to just have a phone call. Yeah. Today, it's flip phones, it's iPhones, it's whatever they have. And it's like, anytime I tell that story, it brings them to a laughter. But I said the key thing is like people my age, like my mom, my dad, they have flip phones. If you were to say, I'll text you, both of them would say, go ahead, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to read it. But if we know how to communicate, if we ask those questions, what is it that you love to do? How do you like to communicate? Do you like to go via email? Do you like to go via cell phone with the text messages? Do you like to IM people? Or do you like to just get on a phone? Many of them today, they don't have a good, solid understanding on how do I have those long conversations? Because it's via text for them.
Yes.
It's easy. They don't have to be face-to-face or, well, if I make a mistake in what I'm saying, I can erase it on a text. It's hard to erase if I'm talking. And so it's helping to teach them those skills. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, now I need you to teach me. Like, how do we go, use some of the technology that we've got? So like my young little team that I was just talking about, they love AI. And I said, you know what? I love AI as well. But help me. Show me what you're doing versus how I'm using it. Because I can guarantee you it's different. They love that. When we engage them in, being a part of the process and to help others learn what it is that they love to do, what it is that they're using, what they're doing that's making them successful, then we all grow together and we become more successful because we rely on each other's strengths. I'm like, I don't have to be the person that does everything. I'm going to sign out based on what everybody's strength is, and they become part of the team. They have accountability. They have ownership. They love that. And then eventually they learn how to communicate differently. So they'll pick up the phone and they call. May still not be their most favorite, but they're more comfortable in doing it.
Yes.
I was on a panel several years ago. We actually I was the baby boomer, and it went all the way down. But one of the questions was, how do people communicate differently? And they started with the middle, who she loves to just email. That was her thing. I just want to email, that's it. And then they get to the Gen X, the Gen Z, the millennial, and they're like, yep, nope, I just want to text. I don't want to be on a phone. I have no interest in being on a phone. It stresses me if I'm on a phone. One of them was forced to carry a beeper so that they could communicate with their office because they didn't want to pick up a phone, so they would page them so that they could get on and start texting. I'm like, okay, a pager was like 30 years ago in my lifetime. But for me, it's like we've always been on the phone.
Yeah.
That's how we communicated. We didn't have email. We didn't have cell phone. So it's like I'd rather pick up a phone, have a quick conversation, resolve what's going on, and then follow it up with an email and we move forward. But what people don't understand is if you tell a millennial or a Gen X or a Gen Z, go do, it's going to scare them. And they're going to get stressed and they're going to burn out very quickly because that is not what they're used to doing. They're not used to being on a phone 24/7. It's why they don't work out well in call centers. If you're going to take someone, if they're going to apply for a job and it's at a call center, you have to make sure that they understand that means you're on the phone 24/7. Or you're at least on the phone 8 hours a day and you're talking to maybe 50 to 100 people. Because the minute they understand what they're supposed to do, they realize that's not the role for them. Because that's just not what they're used to. But you have to ask the question.
Yes. So I completely agree with you on this. So, with these Gen Zs nowadays and millennials, so what role does courage play in making aligned decisions in their life and then in their job work?
You have to have the courage to speak up, but also the other person has to have the courage to listen. So if we don't align, so like we can ask the question, we can have the courage to ask the question, what is it that you love to do? Help me understand what you do with AI. But if as they're talking and as we get their excitement going because they're able to tell us about something we really do, if we shut them down, if we don't have the courage to listen to them, then we've said to them, that's great, but it really doesn't matter. So from a Gen Z standpoint, it's like, look, I'm happy to tell you what I love to do, but help me figure out how I use it. So if I tell you that I only like to text, if I tell you phone calls are difficult for me, then don't put me on in a day that I have to be on the phone with 6, 7, 8, 9 people because you didn't have the courage to listen to what I needed. So when we talk about having courage, it's not necessarily be brave, but it's have the consistency, the courtesy, the leadership to really implement it, to really listen to and allow it to become a part of the process.
Yes.
You know, and be able to say, I hear you, so how do we incorporate that into our processes today? Again, give them ownership and accountability and have the courage to do so, because if you don't, these young individuals, they won't be able to grow or shape into the person that they want to be because we're holding them back. So it's have the courage to ask the question, but have the courage to listen and make it a process that works for both. Incorporate what it is that brings them joy, because they can add so much to a conversation. They can add so much to a process if you just step back and listen and let them do it.
Correct. I completely agree with you. They're different, but they're good.
Yes.
Correct. It's
Yes.
just like we have to understand each other equally and make a blend where we both are gelling up and working up together as a team. And I again would say that this has given me such a great clarity in the beginning when you mentioned purpose. So I think when we are very clear with all these thoughts, the purpose, the courage, when we talk, when we discuss, this is actually would help us become a good leader and
Right.
have a great team together. So that's really beautiful.
Totally. Yes, I totally agree, Dr. Neetu. I mean, you couldn't have summed it up better. It's when we take time to know ourselves, then we've incorporated the awareness that we need. We've incorporated that self-awareness more than anything, right? We've grown our leadership style. We've grown the leader within us, and we're able to go out and share that with others. But my leadership style, the leader that I am, may not be the same for you or for my team members or for other individuals who are mentoring, right? I can't take what I know and what I do and say, this is how you have to do it. When we have purpose in our life and we have the clarity around who we are, it allows us to then help shape others by what drives them. What is their origin story? What have they learned? What have they grown into based on just their childhood, their life? If we take time to really understand an individual, we help them grow into the leader they want to be.
Yes.
Not the leader that we are today. And I think that's the biggest piece, is for people to have that self-awareness and that clarity to just say, I am me. But that doesn't mean I need a lot of mini-me's running around. I need to help others be successful in who they are and in their life and in their dreams. And if I can accomplish that, then great. I've had that clarity and I have that understanding of not only what drives me, but how to help others grow and be successful in their individual lives and give them that resource that they can come ask questions to. but know that they are completely different. They're going to have their own leadership style, and they're going to grow into be the best leaders that they want to be, because it's reflective of who they are, not reflective of who I am.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well defined. I think our viewers are going to take up a lot of insights from this podcast, and all the doubts, all the questions they have, how to handle these Gen Zs and millennials. I think they'll be getting sorted with a lot of questions and answers to it.
Yes.
Wonderful.
People seem to struggle with the Gen Zs and the millennials and all of the, and I think where I'm lucky in a sense is the fact that I am a baby boomer. And then my daughters are in their 40s. I'm in my 60s. They're in their 40s.
Yeah.
My granddaughter's in her 20s. And then now I have grandkids that are also, from the age of 8 all the way up. And now I have a great granddaughter that's 5. So I have to learn all of these. I have to realize what each and every one of these mean, but also what it is that brings them joy. And having those conversations, it's like, don't wait until you hire a Gen Z or a millennial. Don't wait till you're trying to fill a position. Get to know more about that generation. Get involved. Ask the questions. Talk to your kids. Talk to their friends. Whatever it is that drives you to have that understanding. But it's making sure that you realize we all have our own ups and downs. We didn't do everything perfect. We had a lot of growth that we had to go through as a baby boomer. We're still growing. Every single day I grow. Every single day I'm learning something. They're going to be the same way, because today what's important to them, AI, technology, work from home. I want to be able to enjoy life. I want a work-life balance. They understand the meaning of that. I don't, because we didn't know work-life balance back then. We were on a farm. We got up in the morning and did chores. We went to school. We had a job. We did chores when we came home. And that's all we knew. And so my younger generation is teaching me how to have a work-life balance for the first time in 60 years. So they can help us understand more about ourselves and really kind of bring more joy to our lives as well. So it's worth sitting down and having that conversation and just truly understanding. And let me tell you, 20 years from now, they're going to be trying to understand the next generation as well. So it's going to come around, and they're going to be in the same spot. But if we work together to really put clarity to each and every generation, it doesn't matter which one we come from. We're all out looking for the same thing. How do I have purpose and clarity in my life? And how can I enjoy what I love to do? And at the same time, do some things that I know I have to do. But I can do it in such a way I'm not stressed.
Yes.
And if we all just kind of get around the table and start talking through, take one question and go around the table and ask the question, you're going to get 15 answers. If you have 15 different people, you have 15 different answers. But if we're all listening, truly listening to what everybody says, it's very easy to come up with a solution without saying this one doesn't matter because it's from this generation, or this one doesn't matter because it's from that generation. It's really, how do we take all of the generations and how do we mold them together and come up with the best version, the best information, the best day that we can, and know that there's something that drives each and every one of us. So bring the strengths to the table. Use those strengths. Let them be a part of the solution, the part of the conversation, because that's how they are. That's how they live. That's who they are. And we all have those little nuances. It's just figuring out how we live with them and how we take time to put clarity to our life and not be afraid to ask the question. You have to have the courage. Ask the question. Bring them into the conversation. Don't exclude them just because they're in a different generation, because they have so much to give us and so much we can learn. And so it's like, embrace them. because they're your tomorrow.
Yes, I completely agree. And what is your opinion on how can emotional intelligence strengthen leadership from the inside out?
It's having that self-awareness to know how I lead. It's having that self-awareness to know what are my triggers? How do I respond to stress? How do I look at every single day?
Mm-hmm.
So having emotional intelligence means I know if I get stressed or frustrated, this is how I'm going to react. So I need to make the decision to step back. I need to say, let me go take a deep breath. So many times we're reactionary. And if we're reactionary, we really don't have that self-awareness to understand what triggers that. And unfortunately, there are some that like to push our buttons, that like to, hit that trigger button to see how we will react. But if we are self-aware of our challenges, of what will cause frustration, we can become a better leader within us because we know what our values are. We know what we stand for. We know what we need to do to show up and be a good leader for others. But if you don't have the self-awareness to know how you react, you lose their trust. You lose their respect the moment you go off on them. The moment that you don't answer a question correctly, the moment you take to heart something that maybe somebody said out of jest, you don't have the self-awareness to be able to provide that leadership to them. So it's okay to say, let me just go get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. And then we'll talk more about this. It's having that self-awareness to say, I need to remove myself from the conversation for a minute because I'm maybe a little stressed. I have a deadline to meet. I have 3 CEOs. I have a CEO, a CFO, and a COO that's saying, where are my numbers? I was supposed to have them tomorrow. Why hasn't this team accomplished this? Why hasn't that? It's easy to get pulled into a frustrated conversation and just get defensive.
Yes.
When we have emotional intelligence, we have the self-awareness to know that, okay, if I get boxed in like this, here's how I'm going to respond. So how do I change that? And it's okay to say, I need to just step out for a moment, or let me go get a cup of coffee, then we can come back and have this conversation. When we have emotional intelligence, we also have the self-awareness, not just for ourselves, but to identify for our teams. Because if we're taking the stress and the pressures that are coming on us from our executive leaders, and we're pushing that down to the rest of the team without even having a conversation about it, we don't have emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Because we just stressed our team out to burn out. So if we have that self-awareness, which is the number one thing that we need to make sure of with emotional intelligence, that self-awareness to say, it's all right. We maybe didn't hit a number, or we have something, a project that we need to get done. So let's talk about it out loud. How do we make it happen? And you go around the room. That's emotional intelligence. You're going to have the trust and the respect of the team.
Yes.
Because you've taken the time to ask the question, you've taken the time to get the information. But if you don't have the self-awareness to realize what you're doing to your team or how you come across, you're going to lose that trust. You're going to have turnover, and you're going to sit back and you're going to go, why is everybody leaving? It's because they can't take the stress or the pressure anymore. And we have to be aware of what's going on around us, not just within us, but what are we setting the stage around us? How are we setting that?
So beautifully defined. I'm a biggest admirer of you, Dr. Carolyn. You've been guiding. I think a lot of insights were going on inside me since we also growing, developing. We have new teammates joining us. So I think your insights are for me equally right now. I'm taking a lot of beautiful insights from your discussion that we're doing. So that's really amazing teachings that you're teaching
Thank
us.
you. Well, thank you.
So
It's years of experience, Dr. Neetu. Years of experience.
I completely agree and salute to the same. So, Dr. Carolyn, you are as mentioning about transformation happening from within and self-awareness. So, why do you think many people are taught to perform as we usually do, but not to truly become who they are meant to be? So, what is your opinion on this?
I think we have to understand what it is that drives individuals. And I will tell you from just for me, I was one of those, right? My origin story is like you need to go do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. When I was born, it was like a woman's place is in the kitchen. And that I love to cook, but that's not where I'm at. But most individuals don't realize they can work outside of that. They can walk outside of that. They can grow outside of what they were told to do when they were younger, what they learned as they were growing older, as they were getting more experience. Maybe it was at work, maybe it was with life. And it's really helping them understand that they don't have to be a cookie that's in the same box with everybody else. They can be a little bit different. So we have to have a different approach with each and every individual. It's not a cookie cutter approach. We can't just like say, you're here, you're here, you're here, and expect everybody to just go do. They're not robots.
Correct.
They're people. They have feelings. They have talent. And it's as we learn and as we grow and as we understand what drives us, then we end up becoming the person who we really want to be. Maybe not the person who we were led to believe we should be. And it's okay to make those changes. It's okay to say, that worked 40 years ago. It doesn't work today. Taking those individuals and letting them bring what they own inside, having them bring their uniqueness to the table. You will end up finding that their solutions, if you would have just listened, maybe would have resolved everything 2 weeks ago and you'd be moving on to something new. But everybody has that different upbringing. And sometimes it's their culture. Sometimes it was their home. Sometimes it's the life that they thought they wanted. But then realize that something else brought them more joy. So they go back, and it's like, how do you help them cultivate that piece of their life? I love working with young individuals who are just like, they're trying to figure out what it is that they want in life. Because one of the first questions I'll ask them is, what are you doing today? And what would you rather be doing? Because when they think about it that way, it's like, well, this is what I'm doing today, but I'd rather be doing X. Then why aren't you doing X? Well, I don't know. I didn't think I would ever be able to. I didn't think I would have the opportunity to, or I didn't think I was good enough to go do it. Or maybe my math grades were bad in school, but yet I want to be a data analyst. Well, let's figure out how we get you there. And you start having those conversations and you start helping them understand, what the next step is and what's the next step. But you can't just lead them through the steps. You have to take time to say, okay, so this is what we did. Now, how does it feel? Do you still feel aligned with where you want to be? Do you understand the growth from where you are? And is it still bringing you joy? And then we turn around and do the next step, and we have the same conversation. So I like to tell everybody, create a gratitude journal and create an intentionality journal. So every day, write down 3 things that bring you gratitude. Just 3 different things. One line sentences. You don't have to put like a whole book together. But 3 things that day that brought you gratitude. Then I also want you to write down 3 things that you're going to intentionally do to work towards your dream. Or what did you intentionally do that day that took you one step closer? And then review it at night and write down how you feel. Did it give you clarity? Did it help bring that piece into fruition? Did it help kind of set you up where you want to go? Or do you still feel like you're missing something? Do you still feel lost? Do you still feel like you're stuck? Well, how do we get you there?
Yes.
How do we get you unstuck? Right? And that's where the clarity comes into play. And it's helping them walk through it. Because they're just, if you talk about our millennials or Gen Zs, they're just as confused with this world as we are. So, we got to help them. We have to help them, but that also helps ourselves. Yes. Just to be able to bring that clarity to light, but to also help them understand that it's okay to be unique.
Yes.
It's okay to be an individual. It's okay to go do what you love to do. Even if it was a man's job for years and you're a woman and now you want to go do it. Don't let that, keep you from doing what you love to do. Go do it. Make it happen. Become the first woman to do whatever. Set the stage for everyone that's following behind you, right? You just got to stay with it. But if you don't take time to put everybody around the table and get to know them a little bit better, how do we ever get them where they want to go? How do we ever know where they want to go?
Correct. So how can someone stay connected to their inner purpose without getting distracted by comparison and pressure? Because nowadays this is happening a lot. People are, especially the younger generation, is more interested in what is happening in my friend's life. What are you doing? What is your package? Or how's your college or school or where you're working? How's the workplace? What did you achieve? What did you get? What perks are you getting? So they're too much into comparison than understanding that everything is different.
Right. It is. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, Dr. Neetu, because, we didn't see that for years. Everybody just kept all that to themselves. And it's like they all figured out, how do I grow into the next role that I want? How do I get what I want out of life?
Right.
The younger generation has figured out that, no, this is a competitive world. And so if I have the same education, the same years of experience, and I'm doing the very same role, and I find out the person next to me gets $5,000 a year more than I do, I'm going to go ask. They're not afraid. They will go ask for it, right? And I think the key message here is really, one, they need to hold true to their values, right? So if they're going to make that comparison, if they're going to say, I deserve this 5,000, and when you ask the question why, they should be able to answer it with just, here's my values, here's what I can do for you, here's what I've done for you, and really kind of help build out a very good picture as to why they should have that same amount. If they come up and it's like, because this person has it, then they're not holding true to who they are. It's kind of like when I was growing up, there was 6 of us kids. There was 3 boys and there was 3 girls. And when it came time for allowance, the boys always got $10, the girls always got $5. And when I would say, but why? We're all doing the same work. We're all doing our chores. We're all getting our grades. Everything is equal. And my dad's response was, you're a girl. And I was like, that makes no sense, But back then, that's the way it was, But today, equality allows us to both get, even though we're still not at that same level, it's getting better. And we are being recognized more for who we are, what we bring to the table, our leadership skills, our strength, our experience, it is allowing us to achieve the same opportunities that maybe weren't available years ago. Our younger generation is still in that mindset of, I want to work from home. I don't want to come into the office. I want to work remote. I deserve to get paid exactly what the person next to me gets paid if we have the same schooling, if we're doing the same job, if I have the same experience, regardless of maybe they're not bringing to the table what the other person is. Yeah. Maybe one has better attendance, better productivity than the other, but they don't look at those measures. They look at tangible items. So when they come to us saying, why am I not getting paid the very same? It's being able to come back and say, help me understand why you should and what is that you bring to the team that they don't. I actually had this happen not too long ago with some of our younger teams. And I had one person come in and they're like, hey, when I was hired, I was actually expecting $10,000 a year more than what I'm making. And I've been here 90 days, so I think I should be able to get that $10,000. And I'm like, okay, help me understand in 90 days, what have you accomplished that would help justify giving you $10,000 more? Because this was a brand new role for you and a brand new skill. Now, granted, you've learned and you've grown and you've done, and I have no problem with that. But help me understand why it's $10,000 more today than what it was when you joined. And so the conversation was, well, I'm managing this project, or I'm working through this process and I was able to put it together. And I'm like, but isn't that what the expectation was when you were hired? And they're like, well, yes. And I said, so if I was to give you any type of raise, maybe $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, what are you going to do differently that helps to justify the increase that you received? What are you going to add to your plate that says, I bring more value, which is why I'm valued more? And now we put it back on to them to go out and think about that, in which she did. So now she's getting a certification in the role that she's doing. She's taking more classes. She's putting together the project plans. And it's like, she wants it. She knows she wants it. She knows she's worth it, but she's got to actually put it together before that raise comes. So many times, because we're afraid of losing someone, we'll throw the $5,000 at them. And then we've not seen any increase in production. We've not, matter of fact, maybe we start having issues with, them showing up for work, or maybe, their work does suffer, or it comes time for a merit increase and they're like, well, but I deserve. And it's like, but I just gave you a raise. I just gave you that, but you gave this person a merit increase. Why am I not getting it? And it's like, what have you brought additional to the team, right? It's not equality in pay across every team member, unless every team member is truly doing the same work, the same productivity, and bringing the same to the team. But I don't need 10 people to bring me the same thing. I need 10 unique individuals that can help me build a business, that can bring new ideas, that can be proud of what they're doing to contribute to the team, and that can stand out. You be that individual, and then we'll talk about the additional dollars. But we have to help them grow, because this is their origin. This is how they were brought up. They're brought up in that techie world. They're brought up in that, I give me everything. I'm going to work from home. I was a COVID, I never worked. I always stayed home. Now I'm asked to come into the office. I don't understand that. Why do I need to come into an office? It gives me anxiety to come into an office. Then how do we have that conversation to say you're worth $5,000 more if I can't get you into the office to be around the table to help us figure out a solution? So if we don't help them understand what's important, we're not helping them to define their values. We're not helping them to understand the productivity they can have, the the opportunity they have to be a part of a bigger thing, a better thing, and to be recognized as that individual that has the talent, that go-to person maybe that you say, no, this really isn't your role, but can we talk out about it? Can we think out loud about it? Because I know you have experience in that area. But they're not fully aware yet of what their true values are, what they truly bring to the table. We have to help bring that out. And we have to guide them and grow them and help them become the person they want to be. Because then the money comes easy and they don't have to ask for it. It's right there. It's like, bring that opportunity to me. I don't want to have to ask you for it. If you see something that's better, do it and then bring it to me and say, Dr. Carolyn, this is what I have created because I think it'll give us more efficiency. And I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what we need. Or they figure out how to work up with a new solution or a new company or a new vendor that has been a challenge for months. And then one day they say, hey, can you follow us to the conference room because we think we finally figured this out and we can move forward. And I'm like, y'all figured that out? I said, lunch is on me today. I said, let's go. But you have to be willing to drop everything to go listen. Because if they've worked on a solution, if they've worked hard on a problem and they think they have it resolved, don't brush them off because they'll never try to do it again. That's the one thing our younger generation, they are very proud of what they do. They are very proud of what they bring to the table, and they have a lot of good ideas. So we have to make sure that we're listening to those, and we have to make sure that we embrace them and allow them to at least explain it to us. And if there's something that may not work, great, have the conversation. But if we don't give them the time of day, then how have we really provided them any type of support? How have we really noticed them? And how have we recognized their purpose in life?
So well defined, I would say. With the perfect examples and scenarios, I think I'm pretty sure that our viewers are going to take a lot from this podcast, and they're going to solve a lot of their questions, the queries, and how to handle certain situations where sometimes they get trapped in, like you got.
Yes. It's sometimes we can see it in advance. Sometimes we kind of learn to say, I'm not going to start anybody more than what my highest paid individual is, right? Unless there is a good reason to do that.
Correct.
But there are times when the roles that we're asking them to take deserves that. But it's helping them understand the difference between the individuals. It's helping them understand that this person's a manager. You're coming in on the ground level. So I'm not going to take you to a manager pay when you're just getting started, but I'm more than happy to grow you to where at some point, if there's a manager role, you would qualify for it. And so it's giving them that training. They love to learn. The more you can throw at them, the happier they are. So if there's any type of training, certifications, any type of just classes they go to, conferences they go to, anything that gives them a little nugget of information, they will take that nugget and they will give you the biggest diamond you've ever seen in your life because they know what to do next. They're not afraid to take it to the next. So they're not afraid to spend hours trying to figure something out. You give them the opportunity to help grow them, and they're the best individuals, the best employees that you will ever have because they know you trust in them and they know you believe in them, and that's what they want.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And with that, another very beautiful question comes into my mind, which I am eager to question you, that you have worked with leaders across different industries and cultures. So, what is that one gap you see in leadership today that people need to become more aware of?
I think the biggest gap, Dr. Neetu, is communication. How do we have the right communication at the right time? So many leaders, and regardless of what their role is, regardless of the culture, they're all focused on, what am I supposed to accomplish? I have board members I have to report to. I have equity companies I have to report to. I have goals that I have to meet. That's very important for them. And it's a top-down leadership almost at that point. So it's helping them understand that there is a bottom-up leadership method that they need to incorporate. And it really stems around communication. And I think I mentioned this the very first time you and I got together, because I have that talk show. I have my program, Listen with Your Eyes. And many times when I say that to individuals, they're like, I don't even understand what you're saying when you say listen with your eyes. And when we talk about communication, we know how to talk. We know how to listen with our ears, but we're not paying attention with our eyes. And so I'll have a leader come to me and say, I just don't understand what's going on with this person. I just can't get through to them.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it, or let's have a conversation and I'll meet with them as well. And they're like, well, they're just constantly doing this. It's like they don't even care. And I'm like, okay. I said, let's see what's going on. Because we don't know what another person might be going through. I use kind of the analogy of a driver that cuts me off, and I might be really upset and aggravated, but what I don't know is that person just got a phone call that their child fell and they have to get to the hospital. Or there was an injury or an accident somewhere and they've got to take off and get where they need to go. We don't know what the other person is thinking or going through unless we take time to listen with our eyes, understand what is the body language, understand, they may tell us one thing, but are they smiling? Are their eyes telling us something different than what their words are saying? So it's not just communication but I talk to the team all the time. We have meetings, we walk through everything, and I'm like, yeah, but are you really paying attention to how they're receiving you?
Yes.
Because if we don't take that time to really scan the audience, so to speak, I always say, know your audience, figure out who's in the room. And when you've had 5 minutes of conversation, who's checked out already? Because if you've already lost them in 5 minutes, then we got to figure out why. Is it how you're communicating with them? And they're just sitting there going, yep, here's one more meeting. Here's one more thing that I need to be aware of. Are you taking the time to bring a little joy into that meeting and engaging everybody and incorporating everyone's ideas to come up with a solution? Are you making them a part of the problem, or are you allowing them to help solve the problem? So it's, how do we get that communication gap closed? How do we bring it down to a smaller opening than what it is today? Because if you go around and you talk to those individuals after a big meeting, it's like, what did you think about the meeting? Well, that we all suck because we're not hitting the goals, that we're not making them look good because of the fact that we were $1,000 below on what the plan was, or whatever the case may be. They hear the negative. They don't hear the positive because of the message. So it's like, how do we change that communication to where it's like, great job, team. We all worked hard. You all brought different things to the table, and we didn't quite make it. But look at the growth that we did achieve. So what do we need to do next so that we do make it next month? And have people raise their hands. Bring people into the conversation. Let them have some ownership. But one of the biggest challenges we have today is that communication gap.
Agreed.
And it's like, how do we close it?
Absolutely agreed on this. So, what is one message you hope listeners take away from this amazing conversation that we have today?
I think the one key message, Dr. Neetu, is to remember their strength is inside them. It's not outside. It's not what they do every single day. It's not how much they can lift or, how many hours they can work. The strength is within them. Their purpose will bring clarity. They know what their values are. They know what their strengths are. They know how they want to feel when they're in the presence of others. They also know how they want others to feel when they're in the presence of themselves. So don't worry about being like the person next to you. Don't worry about getting paid exactly the same as the person. Worry and don't worry about why. There's so much to get done. It's take a look at what your strengths are, who you are. Be self-aware of what you bring to the conversation and help others understand your values, your skills, your opportunity to be a part of a team means that you grow with them and they grow with you.
Yes.
So don't let pressure guide your life. Let purpose be your clarity. Let purpose be your joy. And understand that everyone around you is willing to help you get where you want to be. They're willing to help you grow. They're willing to bring you in on those conversations. But we all have to work together to kind of step back and understand what that communication gap is. And really be able to take our younger generation and close that gap. Don't be afraid of using their skills to help yourself grow. I love when I can grow from my younger team members. And we all need to embrace that. But it really does come down to just let purpose be your clarity. Really stay true to your values and know that you know who you are deep down inside and don't let anybody take those values away from you. Because we all have a place here. And it's what allows us to experience each other. It allows us to grow with each other. So embrace it. Have fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Rubin. This was absolutely a wonderful, wonderful podcast, and I'm so glad this is 50th podcast of Passion Vista, and it is so amazing. Amazing. It is having so many insights and about how to be a good leader, how to handle leadership amazingly, and how to set an example for your own team and how to grow with them. The most important thing, as you mentioned, self-awareness, purpose, clarity, and communication. I think viewers are going to take a lot from this podcast. I myself has taken a lot of insights. I must appreciate that. And at a certain point, I think all the leaders need a lot of guidance. And I am very sure this podcast is going to solve a lot of their questions and will give them a lot of guidance on how to be a good leader.
Well, thank you, Dr. Neetu, and thank you for having me. I'm very honored, very blessed to be here on your 50th show. And congratulations again. That is a milestone, and so very proud of you. You always bring so much light and empowerment into this world, and anyone and everyone who knows you knows just how lucky we all are to have you in our presence. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to many, many more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And this is the end of the show. I'm sure you all had a great time and you will be taking lots and lots of insights from this podcast. So stay tuned at Passion Vista Podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Rubin, for sharing your thoughtful and powerful insights with us today. This conversation reminds us that leadership is not something we step into overnight. It is something we grow into through awareness, intention, and the courage to stay true to who we are. To our listeners, the most powerful takeaway from today is the way you lead yourself will always shape the way you lead others. When you choose to lead from within with clarity, purpose, and presence, you don't just create success, you create meaning, impact, and lasting change. This is your host, Dr. Neetu Marwaha, signing off from Passion Vista Podcast, where every story is a spark and every journey is a path to purpose. Until next time, stay aligned, stay present, and keep leading from within. Stay tuned at Passion Vista Podcast.